cropping دي is a lot of times is misunderstood. يعني there's a big argument on طب انا بعد ما اخد الصوره ممكن اكروبها في فوتوشوب ولا ده عيب، ولا ممكن اكروبها في انستجرام ولا ده عيب. Cropping is not really about just cropping, it's also about framing. يعني اي حد مسك اي حاجه من دول قبل كده has been cropping. يعني every time you take a picture or you make a frame or you start on a clean piece of paper, you're doing a crop. يعني the crop is the frame basically. It's how you want to design the frame. For cropping is probably the most important thing in visual language, and this is why I'm starting with it. Because cropping can change everything. يعني مثلا this is a magazine cover called Blue. شفته زمان قوي and I kept it. لو كانوا خلوا راس الراجل في الصورة would have been a very boring magazine cover. Yeah, but the reason it's here today is probably because they cropped him off, and then it becomes like an L shape and his hand leads you up, going out and going in. Design wise and composition wise, it makes it just by cropping the head off. And this is probably not something they did afterwards. It is something they had in mind in the design. The magazine cover in Vogue 30 years before this one. But they've been doing it all along. And برضو جسم الفيجر اللي في magazine cover is cropped. And this is what makes it interesting.
Why is it that the better something does its job, the more we take it for granted?
So this is all cropping. For cropping also is about how tight you come into a picture, how tight you come into a frame. It's how little you want to show. But sometimes you know exactly what he's doing in every frame, because it's something you do every day, obviously. But they decided to go in very deep to make it interesting. تخيل لو الإعلان ده اتصور كله mediums مثلا أو كله just showing exactly what he's doing and how boring that would be. A crop always makes something interesting. يعني. ده summer poster كده that I had in file where I did a more just a very simple crop of it زي الولد اللي كان في الأول. Again, it just becomes a lot more interesting. Man Ray is a very old photographer that used to crop everything. Again برضو دي شكلها النهارده عادي خالص، ممكن تبقى على الانستجرام بتاع اي حد، بس دي 1903 ف was very significant at the time ان الوش ما يبانش. Symmetry دي تاني concept again that applies to all imagery, illustration and photography and filmmaking. Symmetry طبعا اول حد هنتكلم عليه في symmetry هو ويس أندرسون، لان he's almost obsessive about symmetry. The film Steve Zissou, Life Aquatic, I think Budapest Hotel. فمش بس not only when shooting people but when shooting places and when designing places. Wes Anderson is the Royal Tenenbaums, obsessive about symmetry. يعني ده fantastic Mr. Fox. يعني حتى electric pose اللي ورا في 4 على كل ناحية. يعني this is very interesting. The bar, this goes back to me saying يعني a good director is probably a good interior designer. The bar عمل ويس أندرسون في ميلان اسمه بار لوتشي and it's also entirely symmetric كله. يعني these pictures don't do justice, but I invite you to look at it على جوجل. It's an incredible bar. كأنك جوه الفيلم بتاعه يعني. It's an actual functioning bar. But this is more Wes Anderson. بس قبليه برضو كان في جون بيير جونو ده اللي عمل أميلي بولان. برضو he's a great symmetrist زي ما بيقولوا. وقبليه كان في كوبريك who was an amazing symmetrist as well. وقبل كوبريك كان في ديان أربس who's a photographer in the beginning of the century. فهو كوبريك 100% واخد البنتين دول من أربس who went around taking photographs of twins everywhere, twins and siblings, and ده شغل ديان أربس. Another very important visual concept is negative and positive space. في حد ما يعرفش ايه negative وال positive space؟ فايده؟ محدش؟ اوكي. انا ما عنديش اي فكره ايه negative و positive space. لا negative و positive space is basically when you're looking at an image or a poster like this and usually the background or the white space is the negative space and the black is the positive space. Or you can look at it the other way around. You can make the white be the positive and the black be the negative and CD. Negative and positive space is actually a double meaning because they can either one could be negative or positive when the image is playing with negative and positive space. يعني هنا مثلا the negative space is the white and the positive space is the face. But also you can look at it like the positive space is a white horse and the black is a receding face. So it depends on what you want to. That's a great place to look for negative and positive space is Polish poster designs. And if you Google Polish poster designs هتشوفوهم in the 50s and 60s الناس دي كانت قاعده في الشيوعيه ما عندهاش بقى لا مولتو ولا الحاجات دي وقعدوا بقى يشتغلوا. بالتالي الصوره دي اكبر حاجه مكليشه في العالم يعني دي هتلاقيها في الانستجرام بتاع اي حد بس this is a great example of positive and negative space. هتلاقي حد صور العمارات كده وشاف الصليب. Next up is color. Color طبعا is a huge and vast subject and cannot be covered today. But I'll try to briefly go through how I at least look at color. And أنا بالنسبة لي there are two kinds of color. There's color from within the image. يعني واحدة لابسة تيشيرت أحمر في غابة خضراء أو painting لواحدة لابسة كاب زرقاء. أو color that comes from without زي ده. That's more manipulated than grading and دايما احنا بعد ما بنصور حاجة بناخدها نعملها حاجة اسمها color grading. فهنا this is most of the color is coming from the color grading. Or it's pushed. I call it color from without. This is what an example of color from without. The film اسمه Spring Breakers. It's very colorful. But no one's wearing red in the film. In this shot. And it's particularly a red shot. But the red is coming from without. It's not from within. Again, هنا this is Black Swan, I think. The blue is coming from without. This is color from within. And it's complementary colors, يعني green and red. Complementary colors again. Amelie again is a very famous film to look at for color from within. وcomplementary colors يعني فيلم مأفور في الأخضر والأحمر. And this is color on color. And this is مثلا أول واحدة is white on white, yellow on yellow, pink on pink. And that's another school of coloring برضو. Where you want to have monotones or colors that actually match rather than Amelie اللي هي they complement. يعني دي موضة قوي دلوقتي مثلا. That's why I don't want to go into what's in and what's not. I'm just giving you the basics. This is very in. Red on red, white on white, blue on the left, pink on the left. This is a clear example of color from within. Now that you know the rules, go and break them. آخر حاجة أنا عايز quickly go through 10 photographers I think you should all know or you should look at عشان كتير قوي بعد البرزنتيشن الناس بتسألني ده كان مين وده كان مين ده كان مين. I'm not saying these are the 10 best photographers. I just think these are the 10 most influential photographers or that could be relevant the design, illustration, photography, and filmmaking. And starting with Robert Dosneau, French photographer, mostly black and white, shooting people in the street. Diane Arbus, اللي هي she took pictures of the twins. شفناها قبل كده. Helmut Newton, master of foreground background, used to be a fashion photographer but then became even more significant. Rodichenko, بس اسمه هنا بالروسي. Terry Richardson, برضه a very famous fashion photographer. Mary Testino. Annie Leibovitz, mixing daylight with artificial light. Herb Ritz اللي اخرج وصور الميوزك فيديو بتاع مايكل جاكسون كان اسمه In the Closet. معرفش حد فاكره ولا لا، كان ابيض واسود كده. And then Henri Cartier-Bresson, also French. هم 11 على فكرة مش 10 بس تمام. لأن في فيفيان ماير. وفيفيان ماير برضه I recommend you see the movie يعني مش بس الكتب. Last but not least, David LaChapelle.